He was more than Theo Huxtable. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was the heartbeat of a generation, a rare, powerful voice who gave millions hope, laughter, and reflection. But on July 18, 2025, that voice went silent, found drowned in a quiet lake at just 54. The world asked, what really happened? Was it just an accident or something far more haunting? This isn't just about a beloved actor's tragic end. It's about the hidden pain, the pressure, and the silence no one saw coming. Stay with us because this story will leave you speechless. 2 days before his passing, Malcolm had checked into a secluded lakeside retreat in upstate New York. It was a place he often visited, a space of calm and healing where he could unplug from Hollywood, escape the pressure, and immerse himself in music and reflection. He had just wrapped work on a deeply personal project, an upcoming spoken word and jazz fusion album. According to his assistant, he was tired but peaceful, reflective but not withdrawn. On that morning, neighbors reported seeing him walking along the lake around 8 a.m., coffee in hand, headphones on, seemingly lost in thought. Later that day, around midday, he was seen again, this time shirtless, slowly wading into the lake. It wasn't unusual. He was known to swim or meditate in the water. But after that moment, everything went quiet. At exactly 3:27 p.m., a 911 call came in from a nearby hiker who had spotted a body floating face down in the lake. Emergency responders arrived within minutes. They pulled Malcolm from the water and began CPR. But he was unresponsive. He was officially pronounced dead shortly after arriving at a local hospital. The entertainment world was stunned. Tributes poured in. But behind the shock was a growing sense of confusion. Why would someone so physically healthy, so connected to nature, suddenly drown on a calm and clear day? The autopsy report listed his cause of death as accidental drowning, no trauma, no foul play. But toxicology reports were listed as pending. His phone, journal, and a Bluetooth speaker were found on the dock. The speaker was still softly playing jazz, but the most disturbing detail was the timeline. Between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., there was no activity, no movement, no texts, no signs of anyone else being present, just a chilling silence. Then came the whispers from those who knew him best. Over the last few months, Malcolm had become more distant, missed calls, last-minute cancellations, short, vague text messages. And those who heard early versions of his upcoming album were left shaken. One line in particular stood out. Fame is a funeral with flowers that never die, but the soul they honor is long gone. His phone revealed more clues. Several draft text messages were discovered never sent, but clearly written with intention. One addressed to Kashia Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy Huxtable, read, "You were the light on set. I'm sorry I faded into the dark." Another to an unnamed friend said, "If I disappear, don't blame anyone. The tide just pulled too hard this time." His final Instagram post, uploaded weeks earlier, featured a dimly lit microphone with the caption, "Sometimes the silence is louder than any stage." Fans now believe these were quiet cries for help. To truly understand this heartbreak, you have to go back to the beginning. At just 14 years old, Malcolm-Jamal Warner became a household name. Cast as Theo Huxtable on NBC's The Cosby Show, he wasn't just acting. He was living a role that represented millions, a young black teen navigating life, identity, and emotions in front of an audience of tens of millions. He gave a generation of viewers someone to relate to, someone to believe in. But with that representation came immense pressure. In later interviews, Malcolm admitted, "I could never just be Malcolm. I was always Theo, even at 40. And then came the collapse of Bill Cosby, a man Malcolm had once called a mentor and second father. When Cosby was convicted in 2018, the entire legacy of the show came crashing down. For Malcolm, the emotional toll was heavy. He never publicly defended Cosby, but he didn't harshly condemn him either. Friends say he was devastated. He lost a father and couldn't even mourn it out loud, said one longtime colleague. As Hollywood began distancing itself from anything connected to Cosby, that silence cost Malcolm more than peace. Opportunities dried up. Projects were shelved. Some casting directors even whispered behind closed doors, questioning if he was still tied to the scandal. But Malcolm didn't fight it. He shifted. He moved away from mainstream acting and poured his soul into jazz, poetry, and spoken word. He found a new path, one where he could control his narrative. He mentored rising black actors like Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Jarrell Jerome, encouraging them to honor their truth and speak their stories with integrity. At Morehouse College, he once told students, "Your story is powerful. Tell it with integrity, not noise. That's the only way it will last." Through his performances, He tackled difficult topics: black masculinity, mental health, generational trauma, and the unseen struggles of fame. His spoken word piece, The Broken Compass, became so impactful it was quoted in classrooms and studied in college courses. But even as he inspired others, his own pain remained. One studio producer described a moment during a late-night session where Malcolm stopped mid-recording, sat on the floor, stared into space, and whispered, "I'm just trying to feel something again." That pain was invisible until it wasn't. The announcement of his death sent a shockwave across the globe, from Hollywood to Harlem. People mourned. Candlelight vigils appeared across Los Angeles, Brooklyn, and even outside the old Cosby Show studio. In Harlem, a local artist painted a towering mural of a young Theo Huxtable, smiling. With the words, "Theo taught us to dream," the image went viral, sparking the hashtag #TheoForever, which quickly grew into a movement. That hashtag became a safe space, a place where black men young and old began opening up about their own pain, their silent battles, their need to be vulnerable. One user wrote, "He made it okay to not have it all figured out." Another said, "He made being sensitive cool." His former co-stars shared powerful, heartbreaking tributes. Felicia Rashad, who played Claire Huxtable, wrote, "He was more than a son on screen. He was a gentle warrior. He carried grace, pain, and purpose in every step." Tempest Bledsoe shared an old photo with the caption, "We laughed at everything. Now I'm crying for you every hour. You mattered." Even the private and reclusive Lisa Bone broke her silence, saying, "He had the soul of a poet and the silence of a storm. I always knew he carried more than he showed." His funeral was held privately in Pasadena, at a historic chapel. Inside were black and white photos of Malcolm through the years on set, on stage, and in quiet reflection, a recording of one of his poems played as the final tribute. His voice echoed through the cathedral. "If I leave with no goodbye, remember the rhythm, not the silence. Remember the fight, not the fall. And when you speak my name, speak it like music." Networks responded quickly. BET, TV One, and PBS announced tribute documentaries to honor his life, not just as an actor, but as a visionary. At Howard University and Morehouse College, professors proposed new media courses that explore his legacy beyond the controversy. Because Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just Theo, he was an artist, a mentor, a bridge across generations. He left behind unfinished work, an upcoming album, an unpublished memoir, and thousands of lives he quietly touched. But his impact lives on, in the artists he guided, in the murals painted in his honor, and in every person who found the courage to speak their truth because he showed them how. So if this story touched your heart, share it, like it, keep his legacy alive, because Malcolm-Jamal Warner was more than a character on a show. He was a revolution in silence, a gentle force in a loud world, and now his rhythm plays on through us. Rest in poetry, Malcolm, Theo forever. Thanks for watching.